As we draw closer to the primary elections on March 3rd, Cindy Pennington, who's a Republican candidate for Talladega Revenue Commission in the March 3rd primary, joins us. And Cindy, good morning. It's been a long time. We've been trying to get you in here.
Yes.
And tell us a little bit about yourself, Cindy, for those who may not know.
Sure. I was born and raised in Talladega. My dad graduated from Childersburg High School in 1955. My mom graduated from Winterboro about the same time. They married and moved to Talladega, and I graduated in 1985, went on to Gadsden State, and in January of '87, I began what became a career with the Talladega County Revenue Office. They hired me to help open mail and process it. And very interesting property payments. It actually was very interesting to me. And I eventually was hired in the appraisal department there and worked closely with the maps and the deeds. There again, very interesting. Got to see the property and who was buying and who was developing, and wait on the public as they came in with their questions and needing maps, and had questions about their deed descriptions and so forth. And also, I would occasionally go down and work in the assessment office with helping people with their exemptions because of age and so forth, and collecting the taxes. And then in 2009, when Miss Sally Flowers took office as Revenue Commissioner.
Great lady.
Yes, she is. Sally is awesome. She is. And she asked me to be her deputy on the property side. And so I served in that position until 2018 for 9 years. And my job there was to see that the taxes for property were assessed, collected in the right manner, and distributed in the right manner. And I also worked closely with the appraisal division and made sure that if anybody had a problem with their deed or the way their property was mapped or had questions, I assisted in that, and just made sure that everybody was treated fairly. And of course, Sally, if you know Sally, she's going to be on top of that and made sure that the public was treated fairly and with respect.
This is a dream of yours.
It is.
Talk about that a little bit.
Sure. Having worked there for 31 years, and watching the different revenue commissioners come in and working for several, I just, as I say, I enjoyed what I did. I loved it. It was more than just a job to me. I never really dreaded going to work. I enjoyed my job the whole 31 years. And so about 5 or 6 years ago, Sally mentioned to me that when this term right now came up, she was probably not going to run. And she said, Cindy, you ought to run. You're the one that's been here the longest. You know the process. And it's a pretty extensive process. And I would really like to see you run and have this office. And I'd like to leave it in good hands, and I feel like I would with you. So, unfortunately, Sally's husband, Ken, came down with lung cancer several years ago in 2017, and Sally had to retire early. And so she wanted me, has still been behind me in this.
Now, this is a 6-year term,
It
correct?
is a 6-year term, yes.
And obviously experience counts.
Yes.
And you have been meeting with people, not just in late 2019, but you've been meeting with them for a while.
I have. I'm pretty involved with the community in Talladega. I currently serve on the Historical Writs Board, and I work with our Talladega Chamber of Commerce ambassadors as a mentor. I'm in the Rotary Club, and I have in the past worked with United Way and the American Cancer Society and some different things. And actually, down here on the south end of the county in Sylacauga, for several years belonged to the Women's Study Club. and made several friends there, and have tried to be out and about in the community. I believe that whether you run for public office or not, you need to give back to your community. And I'm blessed, and I love this county. And
Cindy Pennington is our guest this morning, a candidate for the Talladega County Revenue Commissioner's office and as Revenue Commissioner on the ballot for March the 3rd. And, you know, you would have to be almost blinded to the ins and outs of what's going on at the Revenue Office now. What do you see as some items that need to be addressed when elected?
Sure. The Revenue Office has 3 satellite offices. We have one in Sylacauga, one in Childersburg, and one in the Mumford-Oxford area. And I feel like sometimes just because those offices are not in the county seat, maybe we could do a better job of maintaining a presence there, maybe 1 or 2 days a week. And letting the people know that, hey, I'm going to be in the office on such and such day. If you live in Sylacauga or Childersburg and need to come by and talk with me about an issue or visit a while. And I think that's something that I would do. And also, if you're 65 or older in this state, you get at least a partial exemption on your property taxes. And depending on your taxable income, you may get a total exemption.
How does that work, Cindy?
Sure. If you're 65 or older, you get a portion off of your property taxes on your homestead where you live. Depending on your income, if your taxable income is $12,000 or less, you can probably be totally exempt. And that amount, that $12,000 or less, is set by the legislature. And you'd be surprised at the number of folks that don't know about that. Yeah. And I would like to really work with our senior centers and so forth to really get that word out to folks.
The Revenue Commissioner's office is vacant as far as the Commissioner itself as of now.
It is.
How can that adversely affect that office with that key position being vacant now?
Well, you're right. It is vacant, as I understand right now. The governor has declared it vacant, and the comptroller of this state, as I understand. And so they are without a figurehead, I guess you would say, a leader. But now this, as I understand, the State Department of Revenue has sent some folks in and is working closely with the folks in the office and the county commission. But we do need a revenue commissioner, someone who can oversee and make sure that everybody is treated like they're supposed to be.
Now, this primary election is really it. There's no Democratic opponent.
There's not.
And so all the eggs are in this basket.
They are.
And I know that this is a dream job of yours. And you're doing everything you can to meet with people, and certainly want to urge people to get out and vote on the 3rd.
Oh, yes. Please do vote. Always vote.
Yeah. Cindy Pennington, our guest this morning. I don't know if you went to the meeting last night for the Talladega County Commission about the bridge portions from Talladega County to Shelby County, and there's a lot of work needs to be done, but Talladega County is a growing county.
Oh, it is. It is a growing county. Back when Honda came in, we saw so many subdivisions develop up in Lincoln. And so that increased our tax base. And if the bridge goes through, and I don't live in that area, so I don't really take a side in it because I don't live down there and I don't feel like that's my place. But I would foresee that if it does come in, if the bridge comes in, I would foresee, new subdivisions and so forth going in down there. And I've had people ask, well, can I vote for you if I live in the city limits of Sylacauga or Talladega, wherever? And just let me say, if you buy a car tag in Talladega County, then you get to vote in this election. It's just a way to look at it. Or, if you live here in Talladega County, whether it's in a city limits or not, you get to vote in this particular race.
Any other topics that you can mention this morning as to your experience and why people should vote Cindy Pennington in, less than 2 months?
Yes. It has been a dream of mine. And let me say, I always say that when the Lord was handing out talent, He didn't make it so that I can sing pretty and I'm not a good dancer, but I am a people person. I love people. I don't really meet a stranger, and I love helping people. I mentioned a moment ago that I never dreaded going into the office, and I loved being able to sit down with someone and help them through an issue just as much as the law would allow us to do. If they had an issue with the amount of property tax they were paying, or maybe they were over 65, or maybe their parent was over 65 and they weren't getting an exemption. I just love being able to sit down with somebody, talk over their problem, and do my very best to help them.
You were down at Talladega Springs Senior Center this past weekend.
I was.
That's a great group, isn't it?
It is. I really enjoyed that. Had breakfast and got to meet some folks and see some old friends, and that was a nice.
What are people? I mean, you've been meeting people for quite some time. Well, what are people telling you about what they see and some needs that they may have through the Revenue Commissioner's office? Well,
I believe I am hearing that in the satellite offices here in the south end of the county and in the Montford-Oxford office, they would like to see more of a presence of the official. And like I said, that would be one of my goals, should I be able to take office. And of course, nobody likes to pay taxes. Mm-hmm. I certainly don't like to pay them. But I think you could always need to have a listening ear. And if there is a massive tax increase coming, like there was this past year, mm-hmm. I think there needs to be a really good way of disseminating that information to the taxpayer about what's going on, why it's going on, and if you have concerns or problems, what can you do about mm-hmm. it? And you do have some avenues there, you know, when you receive a notice that your value has gone up on your property.
Honesty and integrity.
Yes.
This is a position, certainly, that you got to have that. Yes. And apply that to your thought pattern as far as what you're bringing to the table in the election coming up in March.
The Talladega Revenue Office takes in tens of millions of dollars per year. Property, every license except for a marriage license, you know, driver's license, business license, conservation license, car tags, and so forth. And so with all that, like I said, it's tens of millions of dollars. And that job is you collect it, the money, and then you remit that money to the agencies, to the state, to all the cities in this county, to the 3 school systems in this county, to every city, Sylacauga, Talladega, Munford, Childersburg, and so forth. And it's pretty much a penny in, a penny out is the way that's supposed to work.
I guess with all these entities that are dependent on this tax dollar.
Yes, they are. And so whoever holds this job needs to be very trustworthy, mm-hmm. very honest, feel a need to serve the public, and put the county's and the taxpayers' best interest at heart above self.
Finally this morning, talk to potential voters this morning. You know, we're still, with all the social media and stuff like that, we're still people. You know, we're sitting one-on-one.
Yes.
Talk to this audience this morning as to why they should vote for you coming up March 3rd.
Sure. If I'm elected as your revenue commissioner, I promise to never forget that it was you that put me there. I will always have a listening ear, a concerned spirit, a sympathetic spirit, and I will always do my very best to be available. In fact, my phone number is 256-493-2999. 888-244-2469. And whether elected or not, if I can ever help you with something, don't hesitate to give me a call. That will remain my number even if I'm elected. So there it is. Hold me accountable.
All right. Cindy Pennington, candidate for Talladega County Revenue Commissioner in the March 3rd Republican primary. And Cindy, thanks for coming by this morning. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you very much for having me.
We got more Daybreak just ahead. Don't go away.